Okay, so this is a DB podcast, a dark podcast. Everything that's within the darkness shines within the light, and when you get into the abyss gazes back into you. All right, so the gods, the goddesses, immortals, mortals, deities, titans, primordials. This is the episode. Breaks it. Basically goes into that source energy. All right, so yeah, once again, the mortals don't have the same kind of like, think about it like a tube with a bunch of chemicals within it. They don't have the same organic and natural chemicals that exist within the vessels of that which holds light, which is why the gods and the goddesses have a darker tone, even though there are different shades of that tone. Just like light and crystals have a different shade, and fire has a different shade, because there is a light spectrum, a fire spectrum of different forms of fire, as well as, there's the shadow and then there's the light. Okay, so it's like when you're a little bit closer to the darkness, you hold a lot more light within you because the light comes from the darkness. Okay, so then the nine ether carbon within gods and the goddesses that exist within the plane that the mortals do have a little bit more of a darker tone, okay, skin tone. So their skin tone may be darker because no, it is darker because they hold a lot more light, and that light is a spark that which is the Almighty God, and it requires darkness in order for it to be, basically for it to inhabit this realm without basically exploding and annihilating everything within its primordial form, which is what its primordial form would do if it existed within the lowest dimensions, in its natural state, the way that mortals kind of do, you know. And it's not that the primordials aren't able to exist within the lower dimension. It's just that if they did, then there would be a lot of senseless deportation and transcension, as in what you refer to, what mortals believe to be called death and dying. So that's another thing. Unlike immortals, when mortals pass away, they actually do experience dying, but they're not experiencing death because death doesn't exist. So they really do not exist after that. Well, they experience what they think is called dying, an aspect of what they call dying, which is non-existence. They just don't exist after that because there's nothing there for them to move on with. So immortalization is the memory of oneself. They don't have, think about it like they don't have a memory storage bank. They only have memories, but there's no storage. So because they have no storage, there's no source, there's no core to kind of remind them of who they truly are. They just exist. They only appear to exist within lower dimensions and not higher than that because they're not able to contain that same source core energy that the gods do, because their vessels are artificial and synthetic. So if they was to hold anything such as pure darkness and light within it, which darkness is pure light, condensed, it would literally explode. Like, it would literally implode. It would be incinerated because they don't have the capacity, the genetics, the biology to harbor something of that doesn't even exist within them. So what allows the gods and the goddesses to inhabit the vessels they do is because the vessels actually have the chemicals, the minerals, and as well as the genetics and the biology to which is the biosphere, okay, the electromagnetism to actually contain that which is a pure source of energy, okay, which is what? A soul, okay. And you know that because when you refer to a G, okay, you're referring to chi. What is chi? The soul. Mortals do not have that. They channel they have to channel energy from the environment around them. They have a little bit of godliness, the genetics of the gods, not the goddesses, but the gods, within them, which is what allows them to be able to meditate, channel their essence, and channel what they call energy, their spirit, basically, and whatnot on all that shit, which allows them to do shit like Tai Chi and shit like that if they are able to unlock the parts of their genetics that aren't mortal, but they don't have enough to incarnate with the soul unless they somehow earn it and kind of become somewhat initiated into a true spirit, which doesn't really happen because they don't really know how to do that, or they don't have any clues, so it doesn't matter. So actually it's both. Anyways, so back to kind of like deities and primordials. So primordials, oh yeah, Titans. Okay, so you have the Titans. The Titans are the ancient gods. They're the original what mortals will refer to as the physical form of the gods. When they first incarnated into the planets that they created, so they had what mortals refer to as a larger quote unquote body. Okay, so it looks like a giant, but if it was a giant, it would be a giant that can wield primordial energy, which appears to mortals as elements. Elements are spiritual forces, is what they call them. Okay, but they're spiritual, basically beings. Spiritual, basically energy. Spiritual, because each element is a spirit, and it has multiple spirits that exist within that element. Light and darkness, which is yin and yang, and then you have nature, water, fire. So there are different kinds of spirits that exist in different kinds of environments, and the Titans can wield that at ease. Not unlike the gods. A lot of the gods and goddesses that are referred to as in text are the kind of a different form of the original ones. They're not the newer ones, but the fresher forms of the gods, the ones that allowed them to exist within lower dimensions than the Titans. So the Titans exist within higher dimensions not higher dimensions, what mortals refer to as higher dimensions, but deeper dimensions than gods and goddesses. And primordials even deeper. So the deeper you go, the lighter you flow. You dig? So no, yes you dig, because it's true. And then the deities can travel in between those realms, and they're like what you refer to as like messengers and shit like that. And then there are also different. Well, that's not relevant for this episode. Okay, so once again, the difference between immortal and immortal is that which has a soul, an organic and original soul, and does not have any cloned or synthetic substances and anything within them. So that includes vessel, mind, and spirits. Mortals have, yes, they also have not only synthetic or cloned or both minds and spirits, but they also have synthetic and cloned and artificial, which is also including their mind and spirits, vessels, which once again mortals refer to as their body. So that would be completely unreasonable to assume that they have a soul, because there's nothing there to condense the dark matter energy and the pure plasmic energy within them without the carbon to do so. Okay.